prostitution. Right. Can you clarify?
I'm going to try it, Lynn, and I'm not trying to over-lawyer it, but I can tell you they started out with promoting. That's when you're running a brothel. She wasn't that. They got to prostitution. Then they added attempt. In the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the crime of attempt, to the best of our research, and we have every resource available, the crime of attempt has never been charged with prostitution. And here's why. And Tariq will tell you, because he was a good former prosecutor. He was a good prosecutor. Because you do not have to commit the sex act to be guilty of prostitution. If she was guilty of anything, it was prostitution, and she was found not guilty of that. You can't have 3 bites at the apple.
Well, I have to agree with respect to some of the things that Bill said, especially about being a good assistant prosecutor. I think I have to agree with that. But in addition to, solicitation in and of itself is the attempt. And the solicitation of the crime is the attempt, and it should have been, to be in all candor, in all honesty, conviction of prostitution and not of an attempted prostitution. But I think that what happens, and I think that counsel
rejected that, Tariq.
Absolutely,
that's what happened.
But
they didn't want any part of that.
And they compromised, as you and I know. And Bill can bear witness as well. There are oftentimes that there are more than one charge tried. There can be murder in first degree, murder in third degree. It can be a whole array of different things. Juries sometimes compromise because of a case like this. You can have mixed feelings about it. And one of the mixed feelings is, to be honest with you, Linda, this is a hell of a lot of money to spend on a case like this.
But that's what's unfair to Mrs. Finkelstein. It's either prostitution or not. It's an up or down vote. You don't get attempt, because attempt is inherent in the charge. They shouldn't have had the opportunity to compromise. She's not guilty of prostitution. Game over.
Well, clearly there's something that you can argue.
We're arguing.
At sentencing for post-verdict motions to the end of it. But if that, in fact, is part of the verdict sheet, and it was, the jury has that as an option, and they did, and they selected it.
In this day and age, Lou, this is when people get frustrated because, you know, we have so many crimes and we have so many problems, not just in this county where this allegedly occurred, but you know, throughout the entire country. And people that have been responding here on my Facebook page to the question are frustrated that this is what time is being spent on.
Well, exactly.
Even if it did happen.
That's why any member of law enforcement,
prompting, whatever,
any prosecutor, the word discretion is inherent in their job description. And I'm personally friends with some of the members of law enforcement in this case, and they're very good at what they do. Like, again, reasonable minds can differ, but this is not the case where you want to have 4 or 5 officers in a sting operation swooping down like you found an armed robber or a member of a large drug organization or a terrorist. This just didn't merit that. This should have been, you're acting like a goof. Go home. Don't do it again.
Right.
With one exception,
and that's what a lot of these are saying. I'm just going to get a few of these in. I don't mean to interrupt you, Tariq, but some people say, I think she was just goofing around. There are a lot worse things going on Craigslist. Someone else says to say to Susan, you are so much more, worth more than that. Don't sell your body to get anything. You should consider yourself priceless. And then a woman says, you don't have any self-esteem. What do you say to her?
I disagree with that. I think I'm very comfortable with my sense of humor and conversing with people and a good conversationalist, and that's one of the reasons why I figured I could negotiate ticket prices down.
Okay.
And that's what prostitution is. It's a negotiation, a give and take between 2 people. The problem I have with this,
a lot of things are negotiation. Doesn't make them prostitution.
No, absolutely. But when you send topless photos over and you use the statement in the language that you used in terms of how you can negotiate it seems to me to imply that. This is the other issue. What I think, in all fairness to law enforcement in Bucks County, I think in all fairness to them, I think they really believed that this was part of a brothel. That's why the original charge was what it was. They believed that they had something that was at the tip of the iceberg, if I can use that. Okay. And I think as the investigation unfolded, it became clear that no, this is not part of a brothel, that she's not a madam. However, these are the actions that was there.
Is there a need to send a message that using Craigslist or any facility like this is not acceptable in this day and age?
Absolutely, because in this instance, we can say it was different. But there have been other instances that we know about, that in fact Craigslist has been used to solicit or to entice children or to entice people in situations that are compromising, dangerous, and illegal.
Well, Tariq and Lewis are going to be back next week with us when we talk about prostitution and whether or not it should be legalized or at least decriminalized. That's a debate unto itself. But right now we're running out of time, and I do want to ask Susan how her life has been affected by this. I mean, certainly being at the center of the media firestorm that we talked about at the beginning of the show has been unsettling, but have there been other long-term long-term consequences?
Well, I did lose my job following the massive publicity. I guess I'm not really sure the exact reasoning, but I was terminated because of the publicity, and so it's been kind of a soul-searching period of time about where do I want to go career-wise from here, and maybe to give me a good opportunity to kind of reassess what my interests are.
And now you say people recognize you pretty much everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's almost a feeling like if someone looks in the eye more than a few seconds, you wonder if they know who you are. And sometimes I have comments, I mean, mostly positive on the street, like, we support you, go Phillies, and that kind of thing.
Looking forward to the Phillies season?
Very looking forward to.
Watch it on the big screen TV, okay? That would be my suggestion to you. And but what seriously, from a serious aspect, what is she facing? I mean, is there any chance she could go to jail because she was found guilty?
Lynn, there's always a chance, and I would never predict what any judge would do, but Judge Ceparulo is a fine judge. We've all known him since before he took the bench. She's facing a maximum of a year. The guidelines call for probation. We expect probation.
We certainly hope that this turns out well for you, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time to explain yourself to me. What have you learned? 10 seconds.
I've learned people, I guess, don't really understand my sense of humor, so maybe I should rein it in a little bit.
Right. Well, on that note, I want to thank Susan Finkelstein for being here, and certainly thank you for joining us as well. We'll see you next week.